As I speak right now, two Americans, Donald Trump's son in law and his former business partner without any diplomatic experience, are in Moscow negotiating with Vladimir Putin. This is the fresh video filmed at the Red Square just a few hours ago. That's Witkoff and Kushner entering the Kremlin. Publicly with fanfare. And much security, of course. They're heading straight inside the Kremlin. The question is why they're walking. Well, it's something new. A few weeks ago, I might have said they were negotiating a peace deal. Today, I call it what it really is: a grand clown show. In this picture right here, the boy is right. He's asking his dad, Dad, why is Russia holding peace negotiations? If they want peace in Ukraine, they can just stop the war. The boy is right. Russia is not on the side that needs to negotiate anything. To end the war, the Kremlin needs exactly one thing: to order its troops to stop. And this clown show would be funny if right now hundreds of Russian drones and missiles weren't flying towards Ukraine, carrying tragedy to real people. In this video, I will explain why Putin needs war, not peace, and I'll show you step by step how his so-called peace plan is actually a deal for endless war. And I have proof. And I also think that Putin is making one big mistake. Howdy, everyone. My name is Konstantin, and welcome to Inside Russia, where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. I am Russian by birth, analyst by choice. I lived it, I studied, and I reported. I make Russia make sense. No BS, propaganda, or lies here, just truth, common sense, and logic. And some emotions too. Because I am living through the tragedy of my country's demise. Now, for the last 2 weeks, the world has been consumed by the discussions and debates of so-called 28-point peace deal, peace plan between Russia and Ukraine that has been brokered by the USA. I didn't comment much on that, as I believe Putin is not sincere in his words. Actually, his actions speak much louder than his words. Let me give you a background of today's negotiations. It's super important to know what happened in the past to understand what's happening now. And it's going to be under 1 minute, very short. Back in February, Donald Trump picked up the phone and called Vladimir Putin. After that call, Trump said Putin wants peace and that talks to end the war in Ukraine would start immediately. But he also hinted that Ukraine would never join NATO or get its land back. Europe got alarmed, and Putin saw that the White House was ready to deal on his terms, on Putin's terms. Then came months of follow-up calls, so-called summit in Alaska, the endless talks about the historic peace deal, peace plan. Now, what does country do when it really seeks peace? When it's in war and it needs peace, it wants peace, and it's ready to negotiate? It announces truce. In the last months, every single day of the so-called peace negotiations and discussions, Russian missiles kept hitting Ukrainian cities, and Russian troops kept trying to advance to occupy more Ukrainian land. Heck, they've been proudly bragging about that. Just watch any Russian program on any Russian TV and on any TV channel, and you'll see that. Nice peace negotiations, right? You say something, you fly to Alaska at the same time your missiles fly to Ukraine and kill people. Nice. Donald Trump has been on emotional roller coaster. All optimistic about Putin, calling Putin a nice person who wanted peace, then switching his mood and telling that Putin considers himself a victor and that doesn't seek peace. Then again, optimistic about Putin, inviting him to visit Alaska, giving Putin royal treatment, military parade, then kicking Putin out of Alaska abruptly and threatening that Putin would regret not agreeing to peace terms. It went back and forth, all spring, summer, and fall. Now, many had hopes at first, myself including. I thought that the new American president was coming into power in January with the upper hand, and all he had to do was to continue the previous what the previous administration began. Only the current president, the current administration, would have to do it bolder and hit stronger and harder. Instead, Donald Trump started appeasing Putin for some odd reason. And after the Alaska summit, it became crystal clear to everyone that Putin was just staging a clown show. It became clear to everyone except for the American president and some people who support him. Trump did one right thing, though, and I give him full credit. In August, he stopped talking and he started playing hard against Russian oil. By forcing Indians to reduce Russian oil imports, and then he's hit Russian oil by hitting Russia's largest oil producers, Lukoil and Rosneft, with direct sanctions. And Russia started bending under that pressure. And the chaos in Russian economy appeared. And now Russian officials are very concerned and they're very public about that. It usually doesn't happen. At that point, for some odd reason, now, all Donald Trump had to do to start bending Russia was to move his finger against Russian oil. Okay? And all of a sudden, at the same time, this new secret, fantastic, beautiful plan, 28-point plan, appeared secretly. There were rumors about it at first. And then Russian side, and it was a show. It's like soap opera. Russian side started denying existing such a plan. Then Americans confirmed. Then Russians confirmed. Then there were leaks about Witkoff talking to the Russians, suggesting what to say to melt Trump, so Trump makes decisions favorable to Russia. Big scandal. Sounds like treason to me, but that's for American taxpayers and voters to decide. Now, we started seeing another show, the grand show, or another stage of the show. Behind the scenes, Trump's team quietly worked with Russian officials on this 28-point plan, so friendly to the Kremlin that even in Washington, the insiders expected Kiev to reject this plan. And then, of course, in the best script traditions, the plan leaked. And the backlash was huge. The show got elevated, and everyone started showing it and became glued to their monitors or TV sets. Then the plan was quickly repackaged into a softer version, 19-point plan. After rush talks with Ukraine and new secret meetings with the Russians in Abu Dhabi took place. Now, in the last couple of weeks, it's been back and forth. It's been a show. Witkoff was telling us American plan. U.S. Secretary of State denying it, saying it's not America's plan. America's simply serving as the bridge mediator between Russia and Ukraine. Really good grand show. Now Trump's envoys are back in Moscow, smiling for the cameras, walking around the Red Square, allowing them to people, passing buyers, to film them and selling another almost ready peace deal. Well, it's just Vladimir Putin keeps repeating his old demands and blames Europe for blocking peace. And the bombs, when this happening, are still falling. The war goes on. This process isn't about peace. It's about buying more time for Putin. How do I know this? Vladimir Putin himself admitted that a few days ago in a speech in Russia. Let me take a little break. I'm getting all emotional here. Now, by the way, if you are enjoying this report so far, please hit the like button right now. Subscribe to the channel. That helps a lot for this channel to be spread all over YouTube. And also, after this video is over, please leave a comment telling us which part of the world you're watching this from right now. Having a comment does help this video to get promoted. But you know what? It also helps me. I read most of the comments, and it's very heartwarming. It's, I like reading and understanding that which parts of the world you're watching from right now. It's inspiring. So I like it very much. And if you did that in the previous videos, do that again, please. I like reading it very much. Couple lines of encouragement would be excellent too, and a coffee or two or a tea would be great. I love English tea, English breakfast tea, and every morning I drink a coffee. Black, no sugar, no milk. Thank you very much. Now, back to the message. A few days ago, Vladimir Putin spoke again about the war. And that was his direct answer to all the talks about the peace plan and war ending soon and all that crap. Well, pardon my language, I should say nonsense. Nonsense. If you strip away all the nonsense, the key message is very simple. Putin likes how the war is going. He is not going to stop. There are no conditions of the war's end. He wants all territories he wrote into the Russian constitution to be recognized as Russian, not by Ukraine, he doesn't care about that, but by the United States. Because he considers the United States the only strong player, the only player to discuss everything with. In his ideal world, Washington forces Ukraine to abandon its own land, and it does it over Kiev's head. At the same time, Putin doesn't tie these fantasies to any real end of the war. He says, in essence, recognize the land as Russian, even that we haven't captured that land yet. Yes, Russia wants the rest of Donbass that is being controlled by Ukraine. It's been unsuccessfully trying to capture the rest of Donbass since 2022. You know what? Really, since 2014. Only before it was covertly, now it's openly. And it's been unsuccessful. They haven't done anything. Yet, they want it. They want Ukrainians to give up more of their own land. Do the recognition without asking Ukraine, and we will see later whether we will stop the war or not. That basically, in a nutshell, is Putin's proposal to Ukraine. Ukraine is not the decision maker for Putin. This is a proposition for Donald Trump. Let's tear Ukraine apart, and we don't really care what Ukrainians think. That's basically Putin's hidden message. Putin knows perfectly well that no one will agree to this. That's the point. He is again announcing everlasting war. He proposes the conditions so outrageous that he knows the result in advance. Therefore, he wants to continue. Now, how does this whole scandal with the peace plan fits into this scheme? The thing is, the script is the same. For a year now, we've seen the same performance, months by months. Someone in Washington starts talking about negotiations. Leaks appear then. Some documents are leaked. Then drama grows, hype is pumped, and all the media focuses on that. And the final act, Putin comes out and says his usual stuff. I don't know what you're talking about. You know, um, the war will end when Russia will reach all the goals that it has set. That's Putin's answer. He's given this answer many times already, and he just gave it one more time. Now, when it's time to actually do something, to size something, to decide on something, that Putin kind of like stops negotiating. Media creates suspense. Russian propaganda, all about it. There's hype, commotion, emotions. But nothing happens at the end. The decorations keep changing. Content is always the same. We're seeing the same thing happening in the Kremlin right now. I mean, that's same to the point. Remember, Witkov was walking around Moscow in April, in May, with Dmitriev, with Ushakov, with all the buddies. The decorations have changed. This is the Red Square. Now, before they worked on Arbat Street. Am I the only person who remembers that? Who can put dots together? I don't get it. Much ado about nothing. That's what it is. So, why will this war continue and what's going on? Let me try to summarize it for you. Donald Trump demanded that Ukraine signs the peace plan, 28 peace plan, by Thanksgiving. And now Putin publicly says, it wasn't even a peace deal, peace plan after all. It was just a list of possible ideas for future agreements. And if Ukraine agrees on them, then we will think about future peace and the end of the war. So Trump runs around with this paper for a week, pressures Ukraine to sign it, presents it as a serious peace plan, and the whole world discusses it. And then Putin calmly comes out and says, "We don't recognize this as a peace plan. We aren't going. to sign it. Of course not. And then, of course, the war is not going to stop anyway, regardless. What the hell is going on here? Now, this is my theory. And let time prove me right. Russian officials are tasked with one simple goal right now: keep Donald Trump in a state of constant false hope in order to buy Vladimir Putin time. Draw up any papers, make any promises, let's build a bridge between Russia and Alaska. Let's sign the peace deal, let's visit Alaska, and then we'll discuss everything. Anything really. Any promises. As long as Donald Trump believes that tomorrow there will be peace plan, and he could take that peace and brag about it, saying, look, I made peace in Israel, and now I made peace in Russia. Okay? So that's the state they're trying to keep Donald Trump in. These plans have these actions, these words, these promises. They have only one goal: to keep on buying time. The only force, the real force that can break Putin down is the USA. There is no question about that. It can do so economically and militarily. Putin has been keeping the USA on a leash with this fake hopes, with fake negotiations. And now, let me remind you the real force the USA has over Russia. Trump just moved his finger. I love this expression because that's really what happened. Lukoil and Rosneft were hit with sanctions, and guess what? 2 months later, Russian economy is in agony. And of course, this new 28-point peace plan appears. There are 3 reasons Vladimir Putin cannot stop the war. And somehow no one talks of them. Now, these reasons are my opinion. I think. Please let me know down below in the comments if you agree with them or not. Now, number 1, Vladimir Putin simply cannot stop the war because he will lose political power in Russia. It's all about the power for him. He's precious. He got the power and he has been keeping it for 25 years. He has built an incredibly strong, rigid system called the vertical of power in Russia that keeps him the king, that keeps him in power. Now, with Russia on fire, and he set Russia on fire 3.5 years ago by invading Ukraine. I think he did that by mistake, but it's done. Okay? With Russia on fire, and literally fire everywhere in the society, in the army, in the economy, Putin can come up with justification. Look, there is a war going on. There are enemies of Russia. We must mobilize. We must not care about the economy. That's priority number 2. Number 1 is Russia's existence at stake. Okay, they want to strip us of our sovereignty. That's become the main message of Putin in the last couple years. The enemies want to destroy our country's sovereignty. And you know what? A lot of Russians out there who starts shivering because of fear when Putin says that. Yes, they truly believe him. Now, once the war is over, he'd have to show something for the war. What? New lands? Mariupol completely destroyed, razed? Bakhmut? Kupiansk? Other razed Ukrainian cities and towns? Burnt land? Million victims killed or maimed? Russian men who he personally sent to fight in Ukraine. Economy is down the drain. What will he show? Not much. So he knows once the war is over, his power is kaput and he is kaput. Number two, Putin cannot stop the war because he can't do anything with the new territories. Now, this is one thing that no one is discussing. No one has even mentioned. Russia has annexed so much land from Ukraine. Large cities, again, everything there is pretty much razed, burnt land. And it's Putin changed the constitution of Russia the way that these new lands are, by constitution of Russia, part of Russia. So he can't simply give them back. Okay, no way. He'll be asked very serious questions. How can you give Russian lands that you put in the constitution back to Ukraine? No, you got to pay for that. So he cannot give them back. He needs to rebuild them. Russia needs to rebuild the burned Ukrainian land. It needs to rebuild large and small cities, small towns, and villages. It needs to rebuild the roads, the infrastructure, the power plants, the heat pipes, the water mains, and so forth. How? At what expense? Who's going to pay for that? Russian taxpayers? Yeah, right. Russian taxpayers are not able to pay what's going on in Russian economy. They cannot. It's Russian economy as it is not sustainable. Okay, nothing is being spent on the new territories what it should be, on the stolen land, I should say. But guess what? Putin can justify this by saying, "Hey, look, there's a war going on. Those territories are still bombarded by Ukrainians," and he can give this excuse of the war. Once the war is over, he won't be able to get away with it. And simply that the amount of, no one can tell you how much it's going to cost. My take, and it's a very rough take, is it's going to be in the dozens of trillions of rubles, in hundreds of billions of dollars. Now, where does that money come from? Russia simply doesn't have the money. Russia, after the war is over, Russia will have to be paying the contribution to Ukraine to build other Ukrainian lands. Anyway, it's a big mess, and definitely there's no question. Russia cannot rebuild anything. Russia is in economic demise, the biggest one perhaps in the history of the last 100 years. Yes, it's that bad. So, the reason number two, Putin cannot stop the war because what is he going to do with the stolen lands? And number three, the veterans. It is my understanding that Putin cannot allow the veterans to return. It's going to be a mess. People with real combat experience, armed, with PTSD, coming back and finding situation not so well in Russia. Okay, there is a risk for Vladimir Putin that these people would organize, and even a few thousand people, the veterans organized, could pose a serious threat to Putin's political stability, if you know what I mean. And then there's going to be a huge crime wave. It's already on the rise. And there is a trap for Putin here. The longer the veterans, the soldiers fight in Ukraine, the stronger and the more organized and the smarter they become, the more combat experience they have. So when they come back, they're going to be more efficient fighters. Okay? These are the three reasons, I think, that why Vladimir Putin cannot stop the war. He can say whatever he wants. He can discuss with Witkoff, with Kushner, with Ivanka Trump, with whoever, whatever he wants to. Okay? He can give any kinds of hopes. He can even fly to Alaska many times more to hold whatever negotiations. But it all comes down to he cannot afford to stop the war, and he will not. He is in a state of the everlasting war, and his actions are speaking much louder than his words. Now, I want to tell you what happens next. That's how I see it. But before I do that, I have some personal news for you. Despite being pressured by the Russian state, followed by the secret police KGB, threatened and insulted by Alexander Dugin, Putin's associate and friend, and demonetized by Google, I'm under fire from all the sides, from America, from Russia, you name it. I'm still here. I'm still breathing. Shaken, but not broken. I will go on. Friends, thank you very much for all your support. Thank you for coffees at buymeacoffee.com, for Patreon, PayPal. Thank you for your precious time, for prayers, for love. I promise that I will go on. You have my word. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. So Putin admitted it himself by making the speech a couple days ago. It was an open announcement. I will fight as long as I want, as long as I can, really. The USA is under control. Sanctions can always be delayed. Look, we're having another wonderful meeting here in Moscow with Americans. They come here, we speak, they eat, they fly back, where they discuss, and it's like the broken record goes on and on and on. And I will do whatever that comes into my mind. And we will continue to see this conduct of this show in the Kremlin that is happening. And I think it's a shame. If you really want to know how to conclude peace, look at this picture again. And let's see what this boy says. Dad, why is Russia holding peace negotiations? If they want peace with Ukraine, they can just stop the war. The boy is so right. This is the answer to all these secret peace plans, leaked documents, etc. But you know what? At the end, I think that Vladimir Putin is making one big mistake, fatal mistake. He is walking into the trap. He has walked into the trap already. I think that his fate is decided. Now, he is grossly underestimating the importance of Russian economy and the dire situation with the Russian economy. My understanding is that he has some people to run Russian economy because he has a much bigger issue on his hands, the war with Ukraine, their geopolitics, the negotiations of peace, the so-called, that's what I just told you about. That's where his attention is concentrated. The economy, well, I've seen it before. The Politburo in the 80s made the very same mistake. Russia was really feverish, and its economy was, Soviet Union was feverish. Its economy was falling apart. And the economists warned the Politburo that something needed to be changed. Well, Mikhail Gorbachev started changing that, but he didn't do it fast enough and hard enough. Well, at least he started. And by the way, I'm going to make a video on Mikhail Gorbachev and importance of what he did and how that all is interconnected with what's happening in Russia right now. So please keep on tuning in. They were shaking the economists off. They thought that the USSR was such a large country with such strong economy and strong military that the troubles certainly would not come from within, from the economy. And they did. The reason the USSR fell apart, the Soviet economy could not sustain itself. The chain of events started that brought the USSR to the demise in fairly short time. Now, from what I am seeing, Vladimir Putin is making the same mistake again. He's not paying attention to the economy. And the economy is going to bring him down. Well, not the economy itself, but the situation in the economy will disturb and disbalance the political landscape of Russia. That vertical of power, it's very rigid. But guess what? It cannot bend and flex. Once too much pressure is applied, it will snap and break. And I expect that to happen. I don't know when. I'm not a magician and oracle. But I expect it to happen sometime soon. Hopefully within 2026. There will be, well, I think this is Putin's mistake, fatal mistake. That is already bringing to his demise. Now, the news come out of Russia like crazy, and I would like to remind you that in Patreon account of Inside Russia every single day, you can find 9 news that I personally find significant to know about what's going on in Russia that paint a good picture of what's happening with Russian society and Russian economy. So if you want to stay on top of things Russia, consider becoming Patreon and you'll get access to everything you need to know. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's been my honor and pleasure to deliver this message to you. Don't sign off yet. I invite everyone to tune into the live stream chat. I am turning it on right now. I will be gladly answering your questions. Throw anything at me. Just no U.S. politics. We do not discuss U.S. politics. As long as you're civil, nice to me and everyone in the chat, then I will answer any questions. At least I will try. I am turning the live stream chat on right now, and if you are not seeing any comments, please reload, refresh your page. You will see them. Some people complain that they do not see the live stream chat comments until the live stream chat is done. So the live stream chat is on. At first, I'd like to remind everyone that this is the best community because it has the best moderation team. The moderators, great friends and best mods ever, Lorna, Mammy K, Bob S, Harry Potnin, and Amir Fazad. Thank you, friends, for coming. I see that Harry is here, Lorna, Bob, and Mammy K and Amir might show up later. They are in our hearts. Thank you very much, friends. Couple questions to you. What do you think of my message today? Do you agree? Perhaps you disagree. Perhaps you have any questions. I'll be glad to answer them. Just know that I answer questions that are all in caps and highlighted in orange. You can highlight it by putting Inside Russia after @ sign. That makes your question or comment much more visible. Thank you very much. And if I miss your question or comment, it doesn't mean I don't like you. It means or ignore you. It means that just I didn't see it. So keep on posting until I see it. Thank you so much, friends. The usual suspects. It's been quite some time. Fantastic to see you. Thank you. There will be prayer today. Oh boy. What do you think of the message? Vahe Kaliskin from Chicago. Good to see you. Jodes, Stefan, Lectris, good long time no see. Ron Gravel, John McLean, howdy, howdy. Hope your dieting is going well. Scott Nesbitt, the pillar of Inside Russia. Matt, Pamela, the pillar of the pillars. Anyway, let me jump to the questions in caps. So, Dalamo, very good information. It was well thought out and presented. I missed several posts in the past 2 weeks. I was in the Tennessee house hunting and visiting my daughter. Thank you very much, friend. Much appreciated. You can miss even more. Treat it as a show, not real peace negotiations. You know, Witkoff and Kushner flying to Moscow one day, Zelensky flying to Washington another day, speaking to Kushner, and now Kushner next day he's in the Kremlin, then he's playing golf with Donald Trump, and that's televised, and they're discussing things over the golf, deciding the fate of Ukraine, and Donald Trump, makes a statement, one thing after another, and then Putin comes out, and this is, whoa, this commotion, this political movement, there is hope of changes in the future. And meanwhile, the rockets keep on flying and hitting Ukrainians, keep on flying and hitting. But Russian economy is also falling apart. So that's kind of like a interesting process. You know what? Before I answer your questions, one thought that I haven't shared with anyone anywhere. You know what would be really, really ironic and funny? If at the end, let's say in a few years, the truth comes into light and it would become all huge, grand American plan, well executed, to push Russia out of European markets, Russian oil. Because the United States, for as long as I remember, was fighting Russia for the European market. And that's the best market in the world for oil and natural gas. The United States is, I think it's one of the largest oil producers, if not the largest. Okay, lots of non-conventional oil that is extracted from the sands by, is it called cracking method? But anyway, natural gas. Europe was such a sweet target. And I remember Americans were fighting for a possibility to supply its natural gas, liquefied natural gas to Europe. And Europeans were buying from Russians because it was cheap. And Americans were saying, look, Russia is using it as a political weapon. And Russians were laughing off, saying, oh, come on, you Americans. Of course not. It's pure economy. It's pure business, It's just cheaper for us. Well, guess what? Russians do not sell its gas to Europe any longer. And they do not sell its oil any longer. And Americans have actually reached the goal. They have replaced Russian oil and Russian gas. Okay? Russians played along. Putin played along. Putin initiated the whole mess. But Americans somehow, it's really hard to say if it's a plan all along or not. But the result right now, Americans are in Europe. And the contracts they have signed are long term. Americans are also in Turkey. Chevron has signed a long term contract. In France, in other countries as well. Americans are pushing Russia out of the Indian market, okay? So, and that's the Americans. So it'd be really funny if some secret plan is revealed like a few years from now, and it just proves everyone wrong, and myself including, that'd be quite something, huh? David Porter, howdy friend. Please forgive us. It's getting spooky here. No electric blackout. Electric blackouts everywhere. Very difficult winter on tap. Thanks for the prayers. You know what? That's the least I can do, David. I'm sending my love to you, to your family, and to people around you. It hurts me to think about what's happening to you. I don't know what to say. It's a mix of pain and shame. That's what it is. Not a comfortable feeling. Craig Savarese, good to see you, friend. Has there been any news about Yekaterina Duntsova? Uh, yes, there have been. She's been punished after the elections, or she's still talking about running again in the next elections. Now, thank you. Good question. Yekaterina Duntsova, and it's just your question shows that you're really following Russian news, okay, and Russian situation. Yekaterina Duntsova is still alive and well. She's still free. She's been put on the leash. And that leash is called foreign agent status. She was, right after the elections, her attempt to run in late December, she was labeled a foreign agent. And that limits her in so many things in Russia. Pretty much it's that's a status doesn't allow you to live normal life, let alone to run for the office. By law, she cannot run again. Now, she was labeled a foreign agent as soon as she started to organize her own party. Sunrise, that's the party is called. Okay, and that status limits her a lot. She is still around. She still posts in her Telegram. I still, watch her news about her, but she's unfortunately not a force on Russian political landscape for now. For now, because everything might change, just like everything changed for the USSR in 1991 in August. So I'm saying for now. Um, Mikhail Lindros. So Putin is cornered. Well, sending my love to Finland. Fantastic country. Been to Helsinki once. Good people. Putin is cornered. My question, you know what I am really wondering about? Does he understand or he's clueless what's happening in the economy? Perhaps he's living in an informational bubble that the KGB and his circle has built around him. Perhaps he doesn't know the depth of the tragedy of the of this crisis that is happening in the Russian economy. Perhaps he doesn't know that. That would explain me. If he does, no, I just don't know what his reasons to continue. Well, not to continue the war, but to do what he's doing. Okay, so my bet is that he has a distorted reality of Russia. Koshkin Dom, howdy. Friends, I'm trying to go through the text. We have about 10 minutes left, and I'm going to read the questions that or comments that are highlighted in orange. From Ron, after all the gold reserves have been sold and the ruble is worthless, what do you see happening next? Now, it's gonna take some time to sell all the gold. Once the situation with stinky substance will be hitting the fan real hard, I think they're going to be stealing a lot of gold. You know that most of gold that was in the reserves in the USSR was stolen. It disappeared, vanished into thin air. I think that a similar thing will happen here in Russia. I think people are prepared for that. What happens next? Russian gold, no Russian gold. This will happen. Chaos. Russian economy will descend into chaos. Well, Russian society, but the economy is going to be leading the way. Okay? we are seeing happening now. Please go and watch my economic reports. There will be no economic report tomorrow. Usually it's every Wednesday because I did one yesterday. So go and watch it. I'm giving you facts. My sources are official Russian agencies, okay? Russian officials, Russian propaganda, even. They don't lie, they sugarcoat, but I give you the sugar-coated stuff, but it's terrible. Imagine the real stuff is even worse. So this is what's going to happen. I think that Russian economy is going to basically bring Russia into the abyss, Russian society. Well, I am human. Kharkov will hold. Howdy, friend. Please forgive us. I sure am human. I do hurt still. And I'm very, very ashamed. Every time I meet a Ukrainian and every time a Ukrainian shakes my hand, and that happens quite often, I feel so good. I feel I find a little bit of salvation, my personal salvation, you know. And it's actually it goes the same here. Um, every time Ukrainian comes, doesn't happen often, you know, but once in a while Ukrainian comes and says something nice, and that really warms my heart. That really gives me a piece of salvation. Now, please, friends, do not discuss US politics, okay? It's bad enough that the Americans are in the Kremlin having a good time with Putin, so-called negotiating, you know. Discuss that stuff in America, okay? It's your problem. It's your business. Um, do not discuss it here. This is Inside Russia. It's about Russia. It's about Putin. And it's about the war in Ukraine that Russia is waging on Ukraine. Okay, we discuss everything that concerns that. Gloria, Zelensky is in Dublin. Well, you know what? I admire Zelensky for his ability to negotiate, to do real negotiations, and to stand up for Ukraine. Um, Allison, thank you. Leitmotif, howdy. Google search shows Russia produces 310 metric tons of gold per year, third in the world. Does this go into the sovereign wealth fund? No, no, no. It doesn't go to the sovereign wealth fund. It's gone. Well, there are some assets left. I think it's around 3 trillion rubles, but that's in yuan, Chinese currency, and in some in gold. It's not much, and they're not going to be touching that whatsoever. They can't sell Russian gold easily because it's sanctioned. They can only sell by on the gray market and by small parts. Okay, everything that they produce doesn't go to the sovereign fund any longer. It goes to the gold currency reserves that are held in the central bank. Right now, there are 2,300 metric tons of gold in Russia, and mark my words, something happens in Russia, the Black Swan event, and the regime changes. That gold, or most part of it, will be stolen. It will just disappear, vanish. I think we will see that happen. Um, Paul Webster Lincoln. So about that Christmas Carol, belt out a few lines. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I understand, friend. My English is not that good. Sebastian, question: EU as a cradle of democracy is now forced to reorganize itself under the outer pressure. Start to militarize. But is it super slow in doing that? Where is your question? Oh, it is super slow. Well, Sebastian, I didn't really see the question, but what I'm seeing, the European Union is actually alive and well. The European Union is showing the world, is giving the world hope. Okay, it shows that the normal people still live in the world, and there are problems, of course, lots of problems. But you know what? There is will, and there are actions. Slow, not slow, I don't know. We'll see. But it's not dead. It's alive, and it's moving into the right direction. That's my attitude towards the countries in the European Union. Ah, I see. Any chance I could convince you to sing a Christmas carol? I don't know. Make like $500 donation to Brain Drain Unlimited Foundation. I'll sing a Christmas carol for like 2 minutes for you. Whatever you want me to sing. Andrew from South Africa, another great pillar of Inside Russia. Thank you very much for coming. Fantastic. Um, Yanis. I'll do that. Ah, I haven't done that in years. I actually did it naturally. And everyone, well, a lot of people didn't like it. They commented saying, stop doing that for goodness sake. And I did. I became a tea sipping ninja. I do it silently. Just did it for you, Yanis. Um, Andreas, why should Lukashenko disappear? He is missing since he arrived in Oman a few days ago. Look, these are rumors. I keep my eyes open. I have nothing to report. It's not clear what's going on. It could be just a little covert operation from Putin and Lukashenko, or it could be that he's sick. I mean, don't forget, these people are mortal. Things can happen and happen to them. Okay? Couple more questions and we'll be wrapping it up. After all the gold reserves have been sold. Oh, okay. I've seen that already. No, no way, Paul. Arab Emirates is not the largest oil producer. I think it's Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, then Russia is somewhere there in the United States. I'll ask ChatGPT. But I think who is what countries? Sorry, I'm doing it in a rush. What are top 5 oil producers in the world? Has the shale revolution come to Russia? What's the shale? Yeah, United States, clearly number one. Yeah, that's what I thought. United States is number one oil producer. Saudi Arabia, number two. Russia, number three. Thank you very much. Canada, then Iran. The United Arab Emirates, not even top 5. Now, from Tom, not related to topic, but I don't get why Russia could not come back from war to civil economy. Putin admissions to stay in power left aside, it is hard to retransform production lines. No. You are. This is a very deep question. Russia as a country and Russian people as society can come back to normal life, to civil economy. Okay, uh, it's just there is no space for Putin in his vertical of power in the normal economy, in the civil economy. It's either Putin or civil economy. That's just like that. And since he has complete control of Russia, he has absolute power over Russia right now. He controls the army, the secret police, the federal police, the the government, the tax revenue service. He's got lots of weapons, and he has eliminated all dissent in the country. Okay, so he is running the show. He cannot go back to civil economy because simply there's no space for him. And that is the key point to understand about today's Russia. Так. Michael, is it possible, whether substantial or clownish, the talks are seen by the White House are better than isolation for limiting escalation and preventing world dividing to axis versus allies? Michael, I so disagree with you. The isolation is needed. More of it. Escalation. More of it. That's how Russia is going to lose. Because, look what Donald Trump did. I repeat it for the third time. He moved his finger. Look what happened in Russia. It started shaking because of Lukoil and Rosneft under sanctions. And oh my goodness, Lukoil all of a sudden is going to lose 1/3 of its assets, because one third of its entire business is overseas. Surprise, surprise. It has lost Western Kurna too, one of the richest oil fields in the world, where Lukoil was earning so much money, so many profits. Just one move of Trump's finger, okay? Rosneft in such a big trouble. Imagine if Trump starts moving his fingers like that, along with the US Senate and the Congress. Russia will fall soon. So you know what? That's the wrong way. Appeasement is definitely the wrong way. Escalation and tightening, that's the right way. Because that's the only way Putin understands. He is the strong man himself. He does that, exactly that, to others. He understands that language. If you want Putin at the table to negotiate, you gotta grab him by the throat. Okay, that's what you're gonna do. Okay, that's pretty much all I have to say today. Yes, Palvia Flex, largest oil producer, USA. Thank you very much. I thought so. I wasn't sure, but Saudi Arabia number 2, Russia is number 3. Anyway, friends, I invite everyone. Thank you very much for being with me today. I would like to invite everyone to pray along with me. Finish this live stream in a prayer. This is my prayers list. It's old and rugged, but it serves the purpose. Thank you, friends. We have 2,100 people in the live stream chat, and that's fantastic. Thank you very much for coming. Let's do it. Dear Lord Jesus Christ, thank you very much for giving us this day. Thank you for putting food on our tables and giving roofs over our heads. Thank you for warmth in our homes. Thank you for love around us. Thank you for our families, children, parents, spouses. Dear Lord, please give us wisdom to keep the skies above our children's heads peaceful and safe. Give us wisdom to raise our children in a way that when they grow up, they will not fight in any wars and just make this world a better place. For now, please keep our children safe and healthy. Dear Lord, I am asking for Ukraine. Please send Ukraine peace. Send hope and love and peace to Ukrainians. Help every single Ukrainian who has suffered this terrible tragedy. Answer the prayers and make their wishes come true. Send them healing and recovery. Reach out and touch the hearts and souls of those who are in charge and responsible for making the decision to stop the bloodshed. Put some love into their hearts. Remind them that they're still human beings. Wake them up from their lethargic sleep they're sleeping, so they make the decision to stop the bloodshed. Dear Lord, I am asking for my country, Russia. Assemble your strongest angels with sharpest swords. Have Saint Michael in shining armor lead that heavenly army of yours down to the earth to get rid of the demons who have hijacked my country, who have been using it and destroying it and using it as a weapon against other countries. The demons who we know by their names and by their faces. Have Saint Michael and his army come down and deal with the demons. Please send your angels to help good Russian people to run the country so it becomes peaceful, loving, and respecting. Dear Lord, I am asking you to help everyone who is traveling right now, send them safe travels. Everyone who is in trouble or danger of any kind, send them safety, safe harbor. Anyone who is seeking for any kind of asylum, send help their way. I am asking for everyone who is not feeling well, sick, please send recovery. And I'm asking for single mothers and fathers who are struggling, trying to make ends meet, raising their children. Please send them help. Help those who are helping Ukrainians and help those Ukrainians who are currently suffering attacks of Russian weapons. Send everyone safety, please. Dear Lord, I am asking for you to help everyone in need, everyone who is sick, cold, hungry, addicted, homeless, jobless, going through divorce, crying, hurting, whose heart bleeding, depressed, who's losing her faith, feeling abandoned, feeling alone in this world and crying. Dear Lord, please help everyone in need. Thank you very much for allowing us to come together and pray. Thank you for 1,900 people praying along with me right now or simply watching us pray. I am asking for you to make everyone's wish come true and answer everyone's prayer. I have some people who need your help. They are Ron Gravel's daughter. She is homeless right now. Please send her help. Send her shelter and food. Ron Bazoid, Teresa, Jeff, Nelson Bandela, Ray, Rachel, Gail, Janice, Rose Bronicky, Pamela, Lee and Brenda, Uli Yun, Victor Garishin, Bridget, Larry Barth, Helen, TMBC, Rod, Anita, Ann, Hannah, Jeffrey S., his family, Katharina, Mark, Tom W., J.R. McKim, Gabing with Gary, Lisa, Harry, Terry, John, McLean, Linda, Paula W., Dennis, Jason Carney, Susie Mailer, Tim Mayers, Dory, Rhonda, John, Taylor, Dave, Don, Wayne, Darla, George Ruberty, Pamela J., Meta Spencer, David Porter and his family and everyone in Chernovtsi, Ukraine, Leif, Randolph, Grace, Dean Spooner and his church, Yelena, Natasha, Michael, Jake, Oля, Dasha, Sky, Svetlana, Sergey, Liz, Ron, Liz, Koshkin Dom, Sandra, Mike and Mike, Petra, Joseph, Melissa, Greg, Millie, Philip, Highwayman, Victor, Jeff, Derek, Denise, and Renate. Thank you very much, dear Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Thank you, friends. Thank you for coming and giving me your precious time today, listening to me, participating in this live stream chat. Mods, thank you very much for coming and taking care of things as usual. Thank you. You are absolutely the best. And you all are awesome and you rock. Thank you. I love you. Before I sign off, I am asking everyone as usual to say as loud as you can, out loud, along with me, the following. Carthago delenda est.